Okay.
Wonderful.
These are the infographics that are created.
Wow.
Now, first thing I'm going to explain. There's Bloom's taxonomy of learning. It's well known among any
Wow.
educator. Anybody that gets a teaching degree has to learn this.
Okay.
You have knowledge, comprehension, application. Like
Wow.
first you learn the multiplication tables, 5
Yeah.
times 5. They understand what it means, like 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. Then you apply it. What's 2 times 3?
Wow.
You're like, Okay, what's 15 times 12? And then you apply it. Then there's analysis, which you would take place doing a word problem.
Wow.
Like, Mike has 5 dozen eggs. 6 of his eggs break. 7 of them are stolen.
Wow.
3 of them are returned. How many eggs does Mike now have? That would require analysis.
Yeah.
It also requires synthesis, because you'd have to use a whole bunch of different mathematical operations. You'd have to use multiplication,
Wow.
then subtraction, and addition. There'd be no division in that problem. And then he would evaluate his answer. He would, like, you finish a math problem, then you get your answer, and then you plug it back in.
Mhm.
Like x equals blah 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 blah, and then you get your answer. Oh, x
Wow.
equals 3. Well, I'm not sure about that, so let's plug in 3 and see if it works. So you evaluate your answer. So
Wow.
that's a simple look at how Bloom's taxonomy learns.
Yeah.
Now you move up. But in the social sciences,
Wow.
all you do is knowledge and comprehension and a little bit of application. For the most part, you have the download phase, you have one viewpoint, there's no synthesis. There's pretty much one viewpoint. You have the professor and the textbook. They rarely disagree. Okay, the professor's not going to use a textbook with which which has a lot of viewpoints he disagrees with.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Wow.
you'll have like a conservative professor at a liberal college who's stuck with a liberal textbook, and during the entire throughout the entire course, it'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, by the way, I disagree with this, this, and this, and this during his lecture. So you get
Wow.
maybe get two viewpoints during that. I know one guy at work. This guy Craig, who was an RN, he had a history teacher who was conservative,
Mhm.
but the textbook was from the liberal point of view. It was all like FDR's New Deal was great,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it saved us from the Great Depression. And
Oh, yes.
Otherwise, the
Wow.
United States would have become a third world country, and
Mm-hmm.
he was our savior. Blah 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 blah.
Wow.
And the conservative guy, who's all right, he was like, it was really, he said, it was really World War II that got us out of the Depression.
Wow.
Now, it's a lot more
Oh.
complex than that. It's a lot more complex than that. Because, as Ludwig von Mises
Wow.
says, war increases wealth in the same manner that a famine does.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you have millions of people dying in the same amount of property, there's
Wow.
more property per person.
Mhm. Yeah, it just destroys aggregate demand.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. So if you kill off 9% of the population right now, there's only 10% population left, but you still have a shitload of houses left and all the cars left. Oh yeah, you're gonna have a lot. Well, people are gonna have a lot more stuff, but it's not really what you would call economic prosperity.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a very, you get into ethics there. But anyway, you can't say World War II was good for the economy and just leave it at that. It's like, okay,
Wow.
people dying is good for the economy.
It's wonderful.
Interesting.
I mean,
That's
think of all the
wonderful.
useful
That's
things
good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not yeah. Well, that raises like a dozen other issues that you really have to think about.
Wow.
So you'll have neocons be like, the economy is in bad shape. We need to go to war. Okay, well, that's only going to work if a lot of people die. So how many people do you want to die in this war for our economy to fucking recover? Because for the most part, what you're doing is, well, let's not get off into that. I want to get into this.
All right.
But
all right.
anyway,
Wow.
so the student is becoming a parrot. The student learns how to download and upload information. He doesn't analyze it. He's not drawing from the diverse points of
Wow.
view. He's not questioning the textbook material. He's not critically evaluating it. He's not
Wow.
looking for logical fallacies. He's not fact checking it. He's not like really researching the issues. He's just taking it at face value at like it is the gospel. The
Trial.
textbook is the truth, and every textbook is biased. If it's international relations,
No, come on.
come on. If, in social science, I mean, natural science, it really isn't like, is it physics is physics, chemistry is chemistry.
Yeah.
You're not gonna. It's like you can't really find a lot of bias in a physics textbook is just gonna tell you about physics. There's no like opinion. There. Social science is a little different from the natural sciences, but with the social sciences, education, you should read an education textbook. Anyway, economics obviously is going to be biased towards either Keynesianism, monetarism, or Austrianism. I don't care either way. It's going to say one point of view, and it's not going to let you look. If you have a course in Austrian economics, you're not going to have a course that you research diverse viewpoints on an economic issue and then come to your own conclusions. You have to do that through self-education, which you and I have done, but most people do not. Sociology. You ever read a sociology textbook? Oh my god! I mean, if it could be any more blatant than a sociology textbook in terms of, I think there's like 2 well-known libertarian sociologists and maybe like 10 conservative sociologists. It's if you're a sociology major, you are unquestionably just adopting a liberal point of view without getting a chance to look at all the different viewpoints. I don't even believe in ideologies. I don't consider myself a quote unquote libertarian. I'm a provisional libertarian. You could use that in a offhand way, but am I sure that a non-interventionist foreign policy is always the best way to go? What if you do have like a Stalin or a Hitler? Yeah, I have questions. I'm not gonna get too far into this, but what you have like someone who has sadistic personality disorder, who's a dictator, who wants to obtain nuclear weapons, and you've done studies into him, and this guy wants to blow some shit up.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done anything yet. Under Ron Paul's, under a mainstream libertarian ideology, this may or may not be correct. I don't know. I haven't really discussed or debated foreign policy issues in depth. Economics, I've looked at it from every single angle I could. Except for anarchism. I've talked to communists. I've talked to my socialist girlfriend for the entire time we were dating, which was well over a year. I've talked to liberals, I've talked to libertarian socialists, I've talked to my economics professor, and I've read books written by monetarists, Keynesianists, all that, and I've looked at it from different angles. And I've come down to just, pretty much the same conclusion that John Stossel has, and John Stossel was the one that got me really looking. I was a liberal in high school because I was being downloaded liberal information in my history textbooks.
I was pretty progressive in high school. So.
It's just what you downloaded.
Yeah.
Because that's what you were told, and then you recited it back like a parrot. This isn't cultivate higher order thinking skills. People don't learn how to think. So that once people are older and you try to tell them about an idea that's different from what they were taught in school, their brain immediately rejects it like a computer. You're trying to install like a software, like a Windows 7 software program on Windows 95. It's like, what is this? And it's like all confused. And it's like reject, malfunction. It starts
file not found.
It starts smoking. It just can't take it in because the hardware at a neurological level is not built up for the software. And it's mind-numbing. It's boring. I mean, sometimes it can be interesting, but compared to looking at different points of view and being sort of your own, being a researcher, being an investigator, and trying to get a nuanced understanding of an issue, it's freaking boring. You're being told what to think. You're not being allowed to think and discuss the issue with other people and debate it and like really reflect on your conclusions and revise your conclusions and modify them as needed. You're not like, allowed to think about things.
Yeah, and
You're not. There's no
Trial.
thinking is is limited. You might write like in high school. One, if you're lucky, you might write 3 or 4 research papers
Mhm.
at the end of the course
Trial.
on topics that your professor chooses.
provides. Yeah.
Provides. And what are your sources? You've already been indoctrinated
Yeah.
into the viewpoint of your textbook.
Trial.
So what's the lens through which you're going to be looking at the subject?
It's all
The textbook
pre-approved
lens. It's
sources.
all. Well, it's not going to be pre-approved
pre-approved
source,
resources though.
but you're
like,
going to
way
have
go.
you're going to have confirmation bias. You're going to be looking for sources that confirm what you already believe, and what you believe is what you were told by the
Trial.
textbook and by the professor, and your professor is the authority figure in the classroom, and the textbook is the dogma. It is the gospel
Trial.
which you must follow, and unquestioningly, and that is the download upload model, also called the didactic model.
Yeah.
And now,
Ooh, man,
what I
it's
propose
a lot more colorful.
a lot more colorful
Trial.
because it's
It's more
my
in-depth.
model and is the student researcher model, where okay, let's say
Trial.
you're having a course on psychology. Well, first you have to in high school you have to redesign the entire thing because
Trial.
but that's beside the entire point. You'd have to have a certain knowledge of formal and informal logical fallacies. Do you know how to fact check things, know how to spot like incongruencies and arguments.
Trial.
But even without that, people, I think, at an intuitive level, I never studied, logical fallacies in depth, but I still have the ability to look at different arguments
Trial.
and evaluate empirical evidence, and I developed that naturally.
Yeah.
I think people just
Trial.
naturally have that,
Mhm.
but it needs to be. But
More-
even without having, studied critical thinking, their
Yeah.
textbooks on critical thinking, having done that before, you could still.
Trial.
I did this. You can still do this. You can ask the question in an international relations course. Okay, you have 4 weeks to research this subject and write a research paper about it, 3 to 5
Trial.
pages. What should the United States current foreign policy be towards Iran? Now the professor would have to explain why this is
Trial.
important. Okay, he would give a brief cursory overview of what's going on between the United States and Iran, and what the ramifications could be for the entire world.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say we
Trial.
do invade Iran, which is a possibility. It is on the table.
We're already at war.
Russia
with
could get
Iran.
involved. Yeah, I know. Russia can get involved. China could get involved. This could result in World War III. This
Trial.
has ramifications for everyone in this classroom, for the entire world.
Yeah.
Innocent people could die, or either way. I mean, maybe we shouldn't invade Iran. Maybe
Trial.
we shouldn't. Maybe we should have certain types of sanctions. That there are certain types of sanctions that would work, and there's certain
Trial.
certain other types of sanctions that wouldn't work and would backfire
Yeah.
and would cause
Trial.
undue human suffering. Now I gotta plug this fucking thing in.
Trial. 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 Trial.
I think it was
Trial.
running the entire time.
Oh well. You can just
Oh,
edit
well.
that shit out later.
Anyway, so the students would get to research it. They'd be provided with
Trial.
3, just like the opposing viewpoint series.
Mhm.
You look at like the book. I got. I don't. Some other book
Trial.
bag. No, actually, I haven't. Moved, but there's these books that gives you like argumentative essays about 3 pages long that
Trial.
argue different, different viewpoints opposing viewpoints on the issue. Like, should we have more severe sanctions against Iran? Should we not have more severe sanctions against Iran, or should we pursue a moderate policy? You present them with that, and then say, all right, now when you go to look for other sources as well, I don't care if I want you to look at debates. I want you to, pick up books on the subject. I want you to go out and read editorials. I want you to discuss with your classmates, and have at least 10 works cited. And I would say at least, I wouldn't restrict how many pages they could write. I'd say at least 3.5 pages. If you love the subject, if you're really interested in it, give me a 15-page paper. I wouldn't restrict the amount, because if they get really passionate about it, say they really like you and I, if we come passionate about a subject, we'll spend. We're not watching Jersey Shore.
No.
We're not watching the the Eagles. We're not chilling at a party talking about who had sex with whose girlfriend or whatever. We're not watching reality TV. We don't care about what Tom Cruise is doing. We're reading different books and doing research and trying to get a hold on the issue and try to get a nuanced understanding of it, so that we can come to a logical conclusion. You look at all those viewpoints, you synthesize them. Well, first you critically analyze them. You say, you look at these different debates, you look at all these different books, and you think about them and say, and you ask yourself, does this make sense? And cross-analyze them. Like, who has a better point when they debate? Who's backed up by facts, and